Hi, welcome to COM 2026. Today we're going to talk about decisions and conditions. First, we will go through if statements, and in the next video, we will talk about the switch statement. Decisions and conditions happens in every programming languages, and it control the flow of your program. Now, take a few examples. If the temperature is higher than 50 degrees, the fan speed will increase. This fan speed increase because of the condition temperature is higher than 50 becomes true. If exam comes, study, otherwise we go play. If you are hungry and thirsty, you're going to eat congee. Otherwise, we're going, if you are just hungry, just eat some jelly. Okay? These are some examples of decisions. These decisions and if statement have fairly different meaning. Well, the first one is a pure if statement. The second one has the keyword else, which means if the condition does not hold, then we can do some other things. And the third one, it is a little bit more complicated, where we involve the keyword and we have else, followed by another if. Don't worry about that. We'll go through that very shortly. Okay? Conditions can be evaluated as true and false, and this is how our program works. Usually, when people talk about the decision flow, we will present it as a chart. Now, look at this one. If there is a statement and then it comes to a if condition, we're going to evaluate whether this condition is true or not. If the condition is true, we detour our program to our right-hand side and execute the statement that if course is true. Otherwise, we will go to the else case, which is the no case, and then after running this block, or we say this branch, or this branch, will come to execute the rest of the methods. In Java, we use the following syntax to make if decisions. If a condition holds, then we're going to execute the code inside the if. Now, some other people will put the a bracket symbol in the next line. Now, to save up more space, we intended to put this open bracket after, on the same line of the if statement after the bracket. Usually, we will insert a space in between that to make it look better. Okay? If there's only one single statement, you can actually skip the bracket symbol. Okay? So if something, and then you do something here, but just only one line of code. Now let's take a look at some example. If temperature is larger than 50, okay, this is the condition. Now don't forget you have to put a bracket here, okay. If the condition true, we'll execute the following things. Say the fan speed will equals to 50, and then the temperature will be decreased by 2. Okay, you will still remember minus equals means that temperature equals to temperature minus 2. Now, if temperature is not greater than 50, what will happen? Basically, these two lines of code will not be executed. So the next one is if exam is coming, which is a Boolean, okay? If exam is coming equals to true, okay? Now, what will happen is we set the study equals to true here, all right? Now, in this one, we have only one statement to execute if the condition is true. So in this case, we don't need to put the bracket symbol here. The indentation and new line symbols are not required by compiler, which means you can actually put study equals to true right below if here, or at the same line, of the if statement. Okay, the same line along with the if statement, that is also acceptable. But it will be a very good habit if you can um, put it on the second line and then with some indentation. Now, there are some common mistakes here. So, for example, if you put a semicolon after the if statement, this is actually compiled. It is actually compiling. But display equals to true will be executed anyway. Now, if you still remember, the semicolon means the end of a statement. Now, what is happening here? That means if exam is over, I'm going to do nothing. Okay, the things you want to do has been terminated by this semicolon, so you are going to do nothing. And this play equal to true will be executed no matter exam is over or not. Similarly, if you do things like that, it will also give the same result. Okay, which is a mistake. Okay, it does not mean the exam is over that you play. You play anyway. This is another mistake. In some programming language, let's say Python, it's actually not mandatory to put a parenthesis um, uh, 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 around your condition. But in Java, this is mandatory. You need to put a parenthesis, okay, around your condition. So this does not compile at all. Next, we would want to talk about the else condition here. So if the condition is true, we can execute the path on the right. If the condition is not true, we go to allow. And eventually, after running both of them, we'll come back to the rest of the statement. And let's see how it works. So basically, the syntax says if there is a condition, and then we execute things here. And with the keyword else, we execute the code below. Okay, there is a block we call the else block here, added on top of the after the if conditions block. Okay, or if you can, if you want, you can prefer the another indentation like this one, putting the open bracket in the new line symbol. Both of them are widely used. Now, so look at the example. If exam is over, which exam is over is a boolean, then our action will equals to play. Otherwise, we can set our action equals to study. Okay. We can also do something here. If it's free and your motivation is larger than 50, okay, your action will become go to class, and your knowledge will be increment. Otherwise, we say the else block will say action equals to go to play, and your knowledge equals to knowledge right shift 1. Now, if you still remember what's right shift means divided by 2 to the power n. In this case, 2 to the power 1, which means knowledge will be decreased by half. Okay? So, under what scenario you would go to bed? Can you think about that? Yes. If you're not free, or if you have less than your motivation is less than 50, less than or equals to 50, more precisely, then you will go to bed. Now, this is the mistakes that you may see. This one, we have no bracket, okay, no curly bracket after the if statement. So it means we can only put one statement after the if. So the statement will be action equals to play. And this mood plus equals to 10 will simply be executed anyway. Where this else does not have an if to go with, it will not be compiled. Okay? How about this one then? If exam is over, then action equals to play else. Well, after else, remember, what you can do is to put the action directly, the statement you want to execute. So if you put a parenthesis here, put a condition here, it's not going to work. because in else case, we'll just execute whatever we want to execute. You don't and you can't put a condition after else. This is another common mistake. If mark more than 50 and less than 70, you get a B. Now, this is incorrect. The reason is we will evaluate 50 smaller than mark first. After that, it will give you either a true or a false. True or false can't be compared with an integer. So this statement simply can't compile. It should be replaced by such a statement if mark is larger than 50 and mark is less than 70. Now don't be confused, don't put an or here. If you put if 50 less than mark or mark less than 70, it actually means, what does that mean? It means every possible values of mark. Why? Because let's say if mark equals to 0, okay, apparently 0 is not within the range of 50 and 70, but you can see 0 is actually less than 70. If 0 is less than 70, that means this part will be true. Now, if you replace n by or, false or true will give you a true. So mark equal to 0 will still make this condition as true, which we don't want. Similarly, A equals to B equals to C is not a correct one, okay? If you are considering A and B and C are some integers. So these are not the correct way of comparing integer, because A equals to B will return you true or false. And you're using true or false to compare with C. In that case, it won't be correct. The correct way to do it is A equals to B or B is equals to C. Okay? By the way, you have to remember we need to use double equal when it comes to comparing two values. Okay? One equal symbol means the assignment. Two equal symbol are doing the comparison. So let's think about that. If these two statements are equivalent, apparently statement 2 will be executed only if the condition is not true, which is B less than or equals to A. And would that mean these two statements are equivalent? The answer is no, they're not. Why? Okay, so if the values of A and B does not change within the scope, yes, they are true. But if the values of A and B changed inside the scope, that could be different. Next, we want to talk about nested if statement, which means we have an if within another if. So if free time more than 1.5, and we say if has assignment, an action equals to this one, else action equals to this one, all right? And the else here saying that play, which means if we have a free time less than 1.5 hours, we're going to play anyway, all right? If our free time is more than 1.5, then we have assignment, we're going to work on assignment. If we don't have assignment and our free time is more than 1.5 hours, we're going to watch the video. Okay, so this if statement is further separating the case if you have free time more than 1.5 hours. Okay, we can do another thing called the cascading if statement. Cascading if statement is that in a cascading of if statement, these are going to this if else case are going to change in a mutually exclusive decision statement. So addition 1 is not true, then we go to the else. And this else, we are basically executing the entire things from this if to here. All right. So if this condition is not true, we're going to check whether condition 2 is true or not, and so on. Now remember, this else is not directly followed by a condition, but an if. Okay, so basically you can understand that as if this is true, then we're going to execute this one else, we're going to check with another if. Okay. Now, in this case, the order of conditions could matters. Okay, why? Why is that? Now look at this example. If your score is larger than 80, we say it's A. If the score is larger than 65, we say the score is B. If score is larger than 40, we say the score is C, and so on. Now, so check the condition here. If score is 85, what will happen? Score will go here, and we will say A. And after this one, because it fulfilled this condition already, you will not go to check the else case, so it's simply print A. If the score is 70, it will go to the first one and say, oh, it's not more than 80, so it go to the second one. You're going to check with these conditions. So you're going to print a B and then skip the rest of those. So respectively, we're going to have A, B, C, and F for these 4 different conditions. Now, but if we change the order of the conditions, that could be slightly different. Okay, so if the score is more than 40 and we have the score 85 here, what will happen is this 85 will already entering the first condition, okay, and then it will give you a C. All right, and it won't go to the rest of the code. So if the score is 40, it's not larger than 40, it will still give you an F. So only 55 and 40 will give you the correct result, and the rest of them, this one and this one will also give you a C, which is quite different and not quite the same as we expect, isn't it? Now, when do we use a cascade if, or when do we use a nested if? In this example, it shows you these two are going to give you the same result. So in this nested if, okay, it gives you the exactly same result as this one. The structures of these two are different, but they give you the same result. And you may going to ask which one is better. Well, as long as you can describe your logic correctly and clearly, you can use either of them. But be careful of the orders of the conditions. So in the next chapter, we're going to talk about switch, and I'm going to see you next time. Goodbye.